Do you regret not doing more than a year?
Short answer is yes.
Okay.
Because the main purpose and what I really wanted to accomplish with
Welcome everybody to Grub with Gruber. We're in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic today, and we are at Laurel. Laurel is an incredible restaurant here in the Piantini district of Santo Domingo. Incredible food. We go through 3 amazing courses of food today while I talk to my buddy, Juan Reyes. Juan grew up here in the Campos of the Dominican Republic, immigrated to the United States at some point. He's a businessman now in Atlanta, but he comes here quite often. And today we talked about his backstory. We talked about the fact that he spent an entire year here like I did. In fact, he was the guy that gave me the advice on how to do 1 year here, but we spoiled it a bit by staying longer. But in the third segment, we dive deep into buying real estate and how this guy gets mortgages, does business and everything else with ease down here, which a lot of people say isn't possible. Thanks again to Laurel for hosting us. You wait till you see the room that we're in. We'll give you a little tour of the restaurant sometime throughout the interview, but let's dive in, and I appreciate you coming along. Be sure to subscribe to this channel for more of this and other content. I appreciate you. All right, Juan. You're Dominican.
yes,
Born and raised.
born and raised here.
Where from? Give us a little bit of backstory.
Yes, I was born and raised deep in the country, a small town called Villa Rivas.
Where is that?
So that's close to the northern center part of the island.
What's it? Give me the thing it's nearest that I know.
So it's in between Nagua and San Francisco
Okay.
de Macorís.
Yep.
Very small town in the center of it. I will say about a 30-minute drive to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was raised in an even smaller place that is called Hoboban.
I've heard of that. I don't know why. Where is that?
It's just one stretch of road, probably like a couple of handful of families live there. So I lived there for the majority of my childhood.
Got it. And you were raised by your grandparents.
Yes, I had the privilege of being raised by my grandparents.
What happened, if you don't mind me asking? What happened with the parents?
So they were really young. They were never together. So I was born. Then I believe my mother had to move to the city to work. And my grandmother said, hey, I'll take care of him while you go work. And I just ended up living with my grandparents for the rest.
Was dad ever in the picture?
Well, my grandparents is on my dad's side.
Oh, no kidding.
So I will see my dad more often than my other siblings, of course.
Was he around when you were a kid? Did you see him when you were little?
When I was little, yes, I saw him, but then he moved to the United States, and then eventually he moved back.
So what was it like being raised by grandparents?
For me, it was one of the best things that could ever happen to me. Yes, and I will expand on that, meaning my grandfather.
I have one more. Keep going.
Yes, my grandfather, he had an entrepreneurial spirit. So he was a big risk taker. He had several businesses, and but the cool thing about him was he never went to school. He didn't know how to write or read, but he knew numbers.
Yeah.
He was very, very good with numbers. And over time, he was able to acquire rice fields, cacao fields, coffee. So we will cultivate a lot of those fruits. And I worked with him since I was very, very, very young.
Yeah. He'd probably formed, because you're an entrepreneur now.
Yes.
You own businesses in the United States. You know, we're going to get into all of that. But I'm assuming those were like formative for you.
Yes, those years were very, very formative and eventually shaped my perspective in
How?
life.
Like what?
I'll give you some examples.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aha. I saw this sitting over there. I was like, is that not coming? Oh no. You got to show me how to eat this.
All right. Oh, he's gonna serve us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I was telling him before I saw it. I'm like, oh, are we gonna have that? I'm like, I don't know what to do. I would just like grab one of these, and then I would just like grab the cheese if it were up to me.
There's no wrong way of eating this.
What is that? The sauce? The salsa? Huh?
Yeah. So it's like a sort of marmalade, basically.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I mean, look at this.
So you get the sweet and the salty.
Can we get a close up on that? Can you see that? So look at that. Oh, I don't want to drop any of it. Incredible. Incredible.
Yes,
Oh,
enjoy, brother.
I'm
enjoy.
waiting for you. I'm going to be somewhat kind here and wait for you, and then we'll continue with the lesson
Yes.
from your grandfather. Good time to interrupt.
Indeed.
Oh my gosh. You know what the heck? I'm not waiting anymore.
Go at it. Thank you. Gracias.
Come on.
Yes.
God, that's good. This is one of those things, man, about DR that I think a lot of people don't understand. And I don't even mean like you're Dominican, you get it. But when I talk to friends back in the States about living here, the perception is third world. So in order for me to go out to have a nice meal, it's like you're at a roadside stand getting, chicharron, which is amazing. That's one of my favorite things to do.
That's right.
But I don't think people understand like the level of restaurants, like the culture of the restaurants here. So speaking of business, lessons from Grandpa.
Yes. So with my grandfather, he was able to buy his first vehicle. I'm not certain at what age, but when he got on the driver's seat and started driving, he crashed the car, his first time driving.
Yeah.
So he basically made a vow and he said, I'm never driving it ever again. So he always had a driver with him. When I was growing up, always had a driver take us to school, take us to visit the businesses. When I was 8 years old, he made sure that I learned how to drive. 8 years old. Now remember, this was in the 80s and living in the country. So the laws for traffic, basically non-existent.
Right.
When I turned 10, he got into a disagreement with his driver, fired the driver, and he said, at 10 years old, you're gonna be my driver from now on.
He hired you. Did he pay you?
So I'll go into some details about that on how I got paid. Yes, so I would go to school in the morning, get home, eat lunch, and then we'll drive my grandfather to the different businesses. Most days of the week, not every single day, but I will say 3 or 4 times a week we will go into the different businesses.
Yeah.
The way that I got paid, it was we had a cacao field on the back of our property, and he said, okay, when it's harvest time, all the beans that drop in the floor, those are yours.
Wow.
So I will have to go into the field, grab all of those beans, dry them, and after I dry them for several days, then I will go to the local colmado and sell it to them, and that's how I made money.
My wife, her grandmother raised her for a number of years. Her mom went to the States, and needed to get established. So for a number of years, she lived with her grandmother in Higüey and then Bani. Those are the 2 places. And she, at 8, 9 years old, was like selling cigarettes, like different things just to make money for the family. All right, so she has that story as well. You have kids, teenagers. Mine are 9 and 6 as we talk. Do you like? Am I putting it on my kids? Like sometimes I look at my kids and we're protecting. We'll cross the street with you. We're gonna move to. We were just talking recently because we're moving to a different place, and there's like a main road you have to cross within our neighborhood. Like I say, main road loosely. It's not like it's just a busier road in the neighborhood. And my wife is like, oh, well, we have to walk them across it. I'm like, no, just let them go. And she's like, listen, people on cell phones nowadays. I didn't deal with that when I was a kid. People weren't on cell phones and distracted. They're probably drunk, but not on cell phones. But I'm in the mindset of like, I kind of want that story for my kids, but we're not in an era where that story is sort of supported or there's too much news telling you how that story is going to get your kid killed. How did you deal with that with your own kids as they were growing up? How did that come to be, or were you like completely the opposite with your own kids?
So it's always a balancing act, I believe, because
sure.
I can extremely relate to what you're saying and kind of.
Like, how do you install grit? Like
Yes.
you just made it happen, right? You just did it because you had to. Your grandfather said, you're driving, you're going to get the beans, you're going to go, right? And now, like, honestly, if your kid wants to go to the store to get candy, they're a little older now, but my kid's like, here's 50 pesos, here's $1, here's $2, whatever, right? You just kind of give it to them. But that wasn't the attitude of your grandfather or my mom's grandmother.
That's right.
So anyway, go ahead.
Yes, it's always a balancing act because one of our main purpose, I believe, as parents, especially as fathers, it is to make sure that your kids are ready for the most difficult thing in life, which is life itself, right? I got a lot of that from growing up with my grandfather, which at the time I wasn't cognizant of what was going on. I think now as an adult, I can look back and see, oh wow, I'm glad I went through this because today I use it this way. I'm glad I went through those other challenges, and I'll give you another example. He passed away when I was 14.
Wow.
And it was a pivotal moment because he was a great provider. He was a great example to follow. But after that, I had to go work just to pay for my high school tuition. Because at that time, public school, they were always like on strike. And we didn't have that consistency on the education on the schools at the time. So when we moved here to the city, I went and got a job and paid for my own private school, high school tuition. And of course, being comfortable with the uncomfortable, with the unknown,
Yeah.
I was ready for that. But the only reason why I was ready for that, it is because of all the experiences that I had with my grandfather. Working with him, going to different scenarios every single day. Sometimes he would send me to another town. Hey, I need you to go to this other town to look for this part for one of the machines that broke down. Remember, at the time, there was no cell phone, not even street signs.
Yeah, yeah.
It was basically after you go past this town, when you get to this intersection, go left, and when you get to the mango tree,
Yeah.
the blue house up the hill, that's where you're gonna go and talk to the mechanic, and he'll get you the part.
Yeah.
And it was a 3-hour endeavor just to go there, 3 hours to come back, and so I got to be very comfortable with the unknown.
Yeah.
When so after he passed, and I was ready. I believe I was ready to take on what life will throw at me. Basically,
Was he strict?
he was very strict.
Was he like aggressively strict? Like no nonsense? Like stop right now, switch, all of that stuff, or no?
So I believe that I had the best version of him. I received the best version of him. So I believe he was that version, probably to my dad.
Yeah.
So he was strict, but he was easier on me when he needed to be.
Sure.
So it was a good balancing act. The other day I was speaking with my woman about this, and she asked me, why do you think your grandfather made such a great impact on you? And it was a great question because no one has ever asked me that before.
Yeah.
And I was able to put it into a sentence. And the sentence was, he was very strict with me, very firm, but I also received love and understanding from him. So I think having the good balance of those two things really made a huge impact.
It's such a thing right now, man. I struggle with this myself. Like when I have this feeling that if I don't provide like a level of discipline to my boys, and discipline can mean sometimes like, you know, kind of being a dick, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It means me acting like one, yelling at them, you know, telling them that's not acceptable, don't you do that. And there's times that I overreact, don't get me wrong. But I feel like that's the preparation that they need as a man to become men. My wife, some others might say like, you know, they don't need you to flip out. They need you to have compassion. They need you to you know, be firm but fair and all of that. And I get that, I do. But I struggle with like my dad he would fly off the handle. He was extremely strict. Like there was like zero tolerance for anything other than like what he wanted.
Indeed.
And I get like you, I look back and I see it as like, back then I hated it. I'm like, God, my dad's such an asshole, right? But I look back now and I'm like, you know what though? I know certain things to be true. When I greet somebody, it's gotta be with respect. If my mother or my grandmother are in the room, you get up, you give them the chair, right? There's certain things that are just instilled. So I struggle with that a little bit now. Like, am I just flying off the handle? Am I too intolerant? Am I too impatient? Am I gonna isolate my kids? Versus, is it the right thing to prepare them to be men? You have boys, right?
Yes.
What is your boys are 13 and 15?
Yes.
So I don't know, what have you seen? What did you do? And where are they? Like, what did your grandfather's example teach you, and where do you see them today as a result?
Yes, great question. And I believe that each generation we're just doing our best. we don't have this figured out.
That's true.
I can look back now in retrospect and say, you know, I can point this thing that my grandfather helped me do that now benefits me, right?
Yep.
But it's always figuring it out. We don't all have it figured out. So the one thing that I do have, I like to say a tremendous amount of clarity, it is that I need to get them ready for life.
Yeah.
So that they can become men. There is a point, and I can remember where I heard this, there's a point when a boy realizes that no one's coming to save him.
Yeah.
And that's when you become a man.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And for me, that happened when I was 14.
When he died.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So no one else is coming to save me, so I have to figure things out.
Yeah.
The cool thing is that, yes, I was a hard worker already being young. So to me, to go out and work and provide, it wasn't that hard.
Right.
I can look back and people might say, oh my gosh, that was really tough. To me at the time, it wasn't really tough. I was ready for it.
You were ready.
Of course, you and I know that there are a lot of boys that never become men.
No, right, yeah.
But in that endeavor, even today, with my sons, is what are the things that I need to do and put in place so that they do become a man? Because the hard part, I think, that is going to come for us as parents, that we are more conscious of what's going on, is that we want to help them
Yes.
be successful. But in a lot of times, what I've seen that in that help, you can actually be detrimental for them in their growth and their development as men.
Yep.
So it's a very delicate, I think, line there, when to cross it, when not to cross it.
No, 100%.
But the purpose, my main purpose as a father, is to get them ready to face the most difficult thing in life, which you and I know, that is life itself. Life throws you things sometimes that you're not expecting, and you have to roll with the punches. Sometimes you come out defeated on the other end, but sometimes you come out as a winner. Yeah. And you have to do it every single time that happens to you. That you're faced with that.
I'm trying to install with my 9-year-old right now that like he's like, oh, it's hard. And my go-to saying is hard is not impossible, right? Hard is not impossible. But also, hey, life is hard. Like, this is what it is, you know, and I always tell them, you're gonna have choices between the easy route and the hard route. People that choose the easy route, they have easy lives, simple, basic lives, and they're always wanting more. When you choose to go the hard route, whatever that means, doesn't mean you make it hard for the sake of being hard, but when you choose the hard route, there is absolutely, there's growth in it. You gain comfort with being uncomfortable, like you said, and true success happens, I believe, when you choose the hard, between whatever it is. It's like, well, I can go watch Netflix, or I can, like in my case, when I had my job, I can go into my office and start analyzing real estate deals at 9 o'clock at night. I'm exhausted. I just want to watch a Anthony Bourdain show or whatever, you know?
That's right.
So when you choose hard, you have a better life. And so I'm trying to instill that in him now. When did you move to the US? When did that happen? At what age?
Yeah, so after he passed, we moved to the city.
Yeah.
And I was here for, I will say, 5-6 years, and I moved to the United States in the year 2000.
2000. So you were how old at that point?
I was 19.
19. Speak any English?
I didn't speak any English. Didn't have any money, basically. Yes, I'll do another one as well.
Please do.
Didn't speak any English, didn't have any money. I believe even the funds for my ticket fare, I borrowed it.
Oh, no kidding.
And then I paid the people back after I started working over there.
What was it? How did you do it? Like, was your mom the connection that got you to come to the US? Did you apply for a visa years before? Like, what happened? How did you go?
Yes. So I had a visa.
Yeah.
I used to just go travel, just visiting. And my grandfather took me to the consulate when I was, I want to say, 6 years old. So I had visa since I was very little.
Yep. Okay.
So, but when I was 19, I decided just, hey, I'm just going to leave the country and go just in search of a better life. Yeah. I ended up going to Michigan just because I know.
Did I know that? That's funny. No kidding. What part?
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh, you did tell me that. I did know that. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yes.
So I have family that moved to Michigan. I
remember all of this now.
Yes, since the 80s, I want to say. So naturally, you gravitate towards you have family members. Yeah. So and that's where I ended up. I never got used to Michigan though.
Dude, you know what? That makes so much sense. So when we moved to Michigan from Boston, the biggest issue, we're like, there's no Dominicans here. Where we are, we're on the east side of the state.
Absolutely.
I'm like, what the hell? My wife, we're looking for Dominican restaurants. There's like one in Detroit, kind of. And then I went to Grand Rapids because we had offices in my company all over the place. And there's like a whole Dominican sector in Grand Rapids, which is not the town you think of.
I know.
You think Detroit would be like 4 million, 5 million people, but
the complete opposite side of the state.
It's crazy. So I'm sorry, go ahead. So your family's there. You never got used to Michigan.
I never got used to Michigan, man. Even though I am very thankful to Michigan because I spent the first 5 years of my life in the United States in Grand Rapids. But yes, eventually I was moving from Michigan and I wanted to go check out Florida. And I was just driving through Atlanta.
Is that how it happened?
And one night I stayed there because I was driving, I was tired, and got a hotel, and then I saw a lot of construction vehicles, a lot of activity in Atlanta, and I said, hey, let me check this town here a couple of days. I went to school here for marketing and graphic design, but I always had an interest in real estate.
Yeah.
So when I saw that activity, I said, hey, I'm just gonna set up shop here, I'm gonna stay here, got an apartment, and just stayed in Atlanta.
So on your way to Florida, you just never made it out of Atlanta. So you go to Atlanta, you get an apartment, then what?
Then what? So yes, I went to work for basically a home store that was specialized in selling windows. Okay. And I just became a sales rep. Yeah. Just because I wanted to learn construction. Sure. I was always working behind a computer, or then I had a restaurant. Because I went to school for marketing and graphic design, in Michigan also I started a printing company and marketing agency. So all of that was going. Then I'm like, okay, I have to get into construction. I went to work for this home store to learn the trade. Yeah. I met a contractor there that specializes in interior remodeling. And we became friends over time. And he said, Juan, you seem like a smart guy. Here, you're not going to learn construction. Come work for me. I'll pay you $100 a day, and I'm going to teach you construction. And I said, sure, let's go. Let's do it. So I was working with him, I would say, a year or two. And I wanted to grow the business, grow the operation. I always have this growing mindset. Sure. Whatever I want to, I want to scale, right?
Yep.
He didn't want to do that. He was very comfortable with having a lifestyle business, basically. Right. Yes, please. Having a lifestyle business, and which he still operates the same way today. We're very good friends. And so I decided to branch on my own, but not to compete with him and honor our friendship. I said, okay, I'm gonna offer everything that you do not offer: roofing, siding, exterior paint, windows, and that's how I started my business in 2008. One of my businesses.
Yeah, so that's what you're still in that business today.
Yes.
Right, and it's what, roofing, siding, contracting company essentially.
Correct. It's basically an exterior contracting company.
Got it. What are the other businesses?
So I also have a real estate investment firm, as you already know, and a property management company as well.
Gotcha.
And the most recent one, you and I had a discussion about this, that I'm starting is Universidad de Dinero, which is the online learning platform to teach other people that are in the entrepreneurial spirit.
Well, not just any other people. You're wanting to focus on a specific sector to teach them about entrepreneurship.
Correct. Spanish-speaking community, basically, that don't have all the information in one place and the tools to start an online business or a physical business as a home service business per se.
Got it. What is that launched? Where are you on that? Like, is there a website we can go to?
Yes, and I'll send that over to you. Okay. Absolutely. But yes, it's already taking shape.
Beautiful.
And we're
I'll
pushing
drop it down below in the caption.
Yes, and we're creating a lot of content, a lot of adding a lot of tools, and yes, I'm very excited about that because it's one of those pillars of giving back.
Yeah, that you're so passionate about. All right, we're gonna grab the next meal, but this guy spent a year back here in DR. So when I said in a group that we belong to, hey, I'm gonna come for a year. Yes. Has anybody done anything like this? He messaged like, yeah, I have. And then he gave me the whole dish on what to do coming here for a year. So we're gonna talk about that after the next dish. See what I just did there? Is it a dish?
That's right.
Yeah, we'll do it right after this segment. So. Hey, wanted to interrupt this real quick, the interview with Juan. I hope you're enjoying it, but I want to tell you a little bit about this incredible restaurant that we're in called Laurel. I would call the food an infusion between Dominican, a little bit of Asian, but also American. Their steaks are just as good as their fish and is prepared with kind of that local flair, that local flavor. They also host events here. They've got a massive wine room, as you can see right behind me here. They got a ton of wine and a lot of different drinks. My favorite type of tequila is called Casa Maestro. They have it here. That to me tells me the quality of the restaurant. So they're located in Piantini. We'll show some footage while I'm talking about it here so you can get a sense of the restaurant, but it's higher end. It's a really nice fine dining establishment. In fact, I can't even go out there right now to show you because a high-ranking government official is dining here. It's the kind of clientele that they attract. They want to protect their clientele by not having me throw a camera in all of their faces. But this is my second time visiting here. I've had things as simple as like a burger all the way up through the dishes that you're seeing today. And to be honest with you, not one thing here is anything less than spectacular. I'm not saying that because I feel I have to. It's a really good place. I choose the restaurants I'm gonna go to based on the fact that I've dined at them for Grub with Gruber, and I know they're great. And today is not disappointed at all. And I think you'll see as we go through this whole entire interview, everything, it won't disappoint. So check out Laurel, go to their Instagram. I'll drop it down below for you. We'll put it right here, but also make sure that you come here when you're in town next. Get a reservation, check it out. Tell them Jamie sent you from Grub with Gruber and order that Casa Maestro Tequila Old Fashioned. Give it a shot. I think you really enjoy it. So let's get back to Juan. Entree time, Juan. You ready?
Let's do it.
Yes. Oh, it's perfect. It's two.
Gracias. Muchas gracias.
You know, the last episode I had my first fried fish. Like the fried fish with the face.
With the face.
Yeah, that's a big thing here.
It is. It is. You have to see it.
Kind of brutal. No.
It was the first time.
First time I ever, my wife gets it all the time, like the pesca frita.
Yes.
But the face just bothers me. It's like, do we need the face? Do you eat it?
You don't like the looks of it?
No, I don't want it looking at me. I never want my food looking at me.
Looking at you.
It's weird to me.
No, typically you don't eat the face.
It's a thing. Which
it's
one?
it's just there. It's just there for decoration.
Let's try the steak.
It's just there to freak you out.
It is freaking me out. But this is what, how do they make that? What is that? Sauteed?
This is Branzino, and I believe that it is not sauteed. I believe it's broiled.
Broiled? Okay.
Yes.
Butter.
Yeah.
Dive in. Whatever
Yes,
you're gonna eat.
please, let's do it. How do you like that?
This? That's good. You know what else they did? Look at that.
Oh,
Medium.
yes.
Medium.
Perfect.
I can't tell you how many times I've ordered a steak. I'm like, yeah, medium, and it comes out. Oh, gracias. It comes out as a brick. No, you gotta cook it all the way through. You gotta cook it all the way through. There you go. Get at it. Let's try this.
Yeah, especially here, I think that as we talk about the whole culture evolving, before here, in the entire country, people like their meat really well done, really well cooked. I think it's an acquired thing to say, hey, I want it medium or
Dude.
3/4 or and whatnot.
Take quattro, yeah. My in-laws in Massachusetts, I remember having them over for a barbecue, and I'm cooking, right? And they're watching me cook. It's cooking chicken. They're watching me cook, and I'm cooking the chicken. I'm like, yeah, it's done. They're like, no. It ain't done until it's black. So they put the damn chicken back on the grill. I got so annoyed. I was being like, fuck, it's my house, right? Like, I'm cooking, but they grilled the shit out of that chicken until it was dead. It was ridiculous. It blew my
Absolutely.
mind.
Hey, I have made the same mistake or committed the same sin.
Where? How?
In the United States at the beginning when I moved to Michigan, I vividly remember going to a restaurant and asking for a steak, and I said, hey, the best way that you have it, and they brought it and it was like this. I'm like, this is uncooked. Can you please cook it a little bit more?
I don't get it. Steak well done doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely. Now I like it like this or even less cooked.
All right, we gotta give this fish a try though. It's getting jealous.
Yes.
I mean, the whole damn thing died. Look at it. It died for what?
Please go ahead.
I'm gonna dive in. I'm gonna dive in. Where do I take from? Does it matter?
Mm-mm.
All right. This is what I mean by lack of sophistication. This is, if my wife watched this right now, she would be going crazy. Especially now that I just sprayed fish all over the table. It would reinforce my Neanderthal.
It's all good, man.
Reputation.
It's a bunch of dudes here now.
I know. I'm always afraid of her though. She's Dominican. She's scary as hell.
You should be scared.
She's little, but she's scary. She's my next
Even
guest.
more scary.
Yeah, you're just my next guest.
That's awesome.
Friday, yeah.
That is awesome.
We'll see how awesome it is.
How does she feel about that? Good. Good.
Good. She's we're going to a restaurant that's outdoor. So the only thing she hates is that there's no air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Like this would have probably been more the spot for her, really, but
Yeah.
she'll be all right. She's got this this mixed sort of like hippie, you know, like of the earth, came from here, selling cigarettes at 9, grew up in Bani, right? Like Igwe Bani. She's got that.
Yep.
But also this like, I want my eyebrows done.
Yep.
I want to feel like I can wear a dress and go out. So she's got this like Dominican American, both sides of both cultures.
Yes.
That makes sense?
Absolutely.
Like,
and I noticed that recently that she has been more in front of the camera.
Visible.
I know that before it's mostly you.
That's all data. That's all data. I'm a data guy on this. So here's the data.
Yeah, tell me about that.
I got it. I'll share this. This is the inside scoop on content creation. So everything I do, I get data. And it's like, all right, what do people like? Actually, I had somebody the other day ask me, they said, you talk about being more interested than interesting. And I'm a big believer in that. If you're more interested, good things happen than trying to be interesting.
I agree.
But they said, but recently, you know, you've been more in front of the camera and everything, so you're trying to be interesting. I'm like, yeah, but it comes from a place of being interested. So whenever content is created, or I put out something on Instagram and I see the reaction, I'm tracking that to say, okay, people want to see more of this. This is what interests them. They want to see more what it's like living off the resort. They want to see more Hanabacoa, whatever, for the Dominican. And there was a video I did where I toured Punta Cana Village. I wonder if we could put it in. We'll see. I'll ask my editor if he could just like throw this little segment in. So I toured Punta Cana Village. I don't know, got 10, 12,000 views, which gives you a lot of data. And toward the end, the last part of the tour was going out on a date with my wife into what's called Las Galerías, like the restaurant district in like the village. And I quickly flashed over to her and then went back. So the data shows you retention graphs. It'll show you like, okay, after a certain amount of time, this is how many people dropped off, and then you kind of sustain a line. Like, people watch a video for a few seconds, then they go on to the next one, but a certain number of people sustain. And when you're watching like the sustained graph, there's blips like this sometimes, like pop-ups, which means people are like double tapping to go back, like replaying that 10 seconds. Big blip right at the end. And I went right to it. You know what it is? Right to her.
She was there.
So I said, hey, I need you to come on a video with me. The people.
Smart man.
The people want you. She's good looking too, so it helps. It helps on the thumbnail. But that's why I asked her to come on, because she's not necessarily like wanting to, but she's like that. She's like, I get recognized everywhere now. Like, sorry.
It's gonna be both of you now, because you are very recognized.
No, it's weird. It's
You're
weird.
now.
Yeah, it's weird. Miami Airport, Fort Lauderdale Airport, and Dominican Republic. It's strange. But
Yes, I remember speaking with you before you moved here.
Yeah.
And for me, it has been very interesting.
Right, to watch.
To watch how everything has developed for you, because I know that this was not what you had intended. And we talked briefly a little bit about this, that, hey, it's good to make plans, but sometimes you have to be open to receiving what's coming your way and adapting.
Exactly. All I wanted to do was share, all I like to do, I've always done it, if there's nobody was watching, is share what's going on in my life. I enjoy it. People are like, oh, what's your angle down there? I'm like, I didn't have an angle. Like, I shared when I had my job and was buying real estate. I like to put that stuff out there. I shared when I was getting into personal branding, podcasting, and I share like tips on Facebook of things I've learned and all that stuff. And I started sharing about living here, and people started watching. So I'm like, okay, what do they want to know? What do they want to see? And I started creating that. But let's talk about that. You said it. We started talking before I ever moved here, because you did a year here.
Yes.
So here's my first question, and then we can dive into the specifics. Do you regret not doing more than a year?
Short answer is yes.
Okay.
Yes, because the main purpose and what I really wanted to accomplish with living here for an extended period of time.
Where'd you go, by the way?
It was in Susuga Cabarete, in that area, on the north side of the country. And basically my only deciding factor was finding a good school for the kids. And once I found that, I enrolled them into that school. And after they were enrolled, then I started looking for a place to live. And that's how it all started. Now, the reason why I said I do regret being just 1 year is because the items that I intended for them to get.
That steak is so good.
That steak is awesome, yes.
Yeah, I'm listening.
It just didn't happen. Meaning, I wanted them to learn Spanish. I think that they don't know. They don't know much in Spanish.
Did they ever get any of it when they were here?
They got a little bit, but a few words here and there.
As soon as you left, though, gone.
It's gone. And even to this day, I think they understand more than what they can speak. And I wanted them to spend more time with family as well here, learn more about the culture. But I think it was too short of a time frame for me to get those things accomplished. We went back after a year. Probably needed to do it like you, stayed here for 3 or 4 years, 5 years, maybe 10 years. I don't know.
Who knows? But it's tough because you said the school you enrolled into is all English speaking, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So ours, the first school we went to when we got here, we didn't like. We didn't like it really from the beginning, and we moved them to a new school in year 2. But the good thing about that school was the younger guy, who was 4, was in an all Spanish speaking classroom. So like 3-4 months, got it. The older guy was in what you probably did. It's English except for sociales and language. That's all in Spanish. I mean, it really depends on the kids on the playground. Like, do they not speak Spanish, or do they just speak English because they're learning that? And in that school, they mostly spoke Spanish, so he picked it up. But dude, he was really resistant at 7 years old. Yours too?
Yeah, very resistant. And at the school that they were going to, there were children, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, from 27 different nationalities.
Yeah, 35 in our current school.
Yeah. So I think that the common language, instead of being Spanish, was still English.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think that was actually a little bit of a detriment.
Yeah. So did your kids? This is my take. When we said 1 year, when they moved, for the older kid, that was his like, I don't need to learn it. Like when we got him to agree, if you will, or he came to terms with the idea that we were staying a second year, it was like, all right, fine. I'll
learn.
Right. Or I said to you before, I feel like he learned it, but there were like bouncers in his brain, like Spanish can stay over there.
Yes.
Like, we know what you are, we
Certainly.
get it, but I'm not gonna embrace you. You stay outside the velvet rope.
Certainly.
And when we stayed, he was like, all right, whatever, just let the Spanish come in. Do you think the 1 year commitment prevented them from learning Spanish? Like if you had said to them, even if you were only doing a year, I have this theory. If we said to our kids, we're going, and then we left in a year, but didn't tell them a year, they would have both embraced and learned Spanish.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's anything that I could have said or that I could have planned in order for them to learn it better or faster, rather than staying extra time.
Yeah.
Another year, another 2 years, because I believe my older son, as well as similar to your son, I think he had those mental blockers. Like he didn't want to do anything in Spanish. He didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Now he has a little bit more desire, I should say, of learning the language, speaking with
Too
family
late now,
members
buddy.
here.
You had your year, right? Kids, man.
Oh man, but yes, he still have time. So I did my best. Now it's on them if they want to learn.
Fair enough. Like I said, our kids have picked it up. It's funny to watch them both navigate it because it's like they just speak it. Like translating it is different for them. Like that was a new learning for me. Like to ask them to translate is very different than just go have a conversation.
Yes.
Excuse me. They can speak English, they can speak Spanish, but to connect the two sometimes it doesn't
Yes.
really. It's harder for them. They're starting to, but when you moved here for a year, what were some of the what were the positives? What were the best aspects of being here for a year? I have to drink something.
Yes, some of the positives there. It was that. So I'll go back a little bit before I answer that.
Yeah.
So the original plan was for me to stay here 3 weeks and just go back to the States 1 week and manage my businesses. And then I had a downturn in the business that happened probably like after 2 weeks of being here. So I had to reverse it and be there 3 weeks and be here just like 1 week, right?
At the time you were married,
Yes.
you had your kids.
Exactly.
So they're here
Exactly.
3 weeks and you're gone. And your ex-wife, not Dominican.
They're not Dominican, correct.
Okay. All right, got it.
And so yes, at that time, that was the challenge for me not being present here on a day-to-day. And one of the good things, it was that when I came here to visit, then we spent a lot of time with family, local family. They would go in and spend, days with us.
Sure.
And they got to form some bonds that they still hold to today.
Oh, they're good.
So that's pretty good. The downside is that, as I mentioned, we didn't accomplish exactly what I wanted to get out of the whole experience.
Did it ever change? Excuse me, did you ever get to be here more often than one week a month, or the whole time you were here, was that what it was?
Towards the end, I was able to spend probably a couple of weeks at a time.
Okay.
But the majority of the time, I was gone.
Was there a thought of extending or no?
No.
Never.
No.
1 year, we're out.
1 year we're out.
What were some of the things that, because a lot of people think about it, and you gave me advice on this. Actually, you gave me a lot of great advice. You did give me one bad piece of advice. I'll share it.
I believe I know what that is.
You probably do. But the rest of the advice was excellent. So like if somebody were going to do that adventure for a year, knowing what you know now, what's some of the advice you would give?
If it's only for a year,
Yeah.
I would say don't do it. Do it for longer.
Fair, right? It's hard, like a year. So we're going back to the States in mid-July through summer. And part of that is honestly like a reset, because we came for a year, like blow it out, fuck it, let's go. We'll get the big house, we'll get the whatever.
Yes.
We're gonna travel.
Yes.
And then like when we continued to stay here, like nothing changed, so we still kind of live like that. And knock on wood, God bless, we can afford to do it so far. But the reset is sort of like, okay, let's actually get Claro phones, not just pay an extra 100, 150 bucks per line on these phones, because it's only for a year.
Yes.
Let's get a house or a place that's not just like furnished for you to sit. Like we have a beautiful home, but it's like the furniture is like, okay, we can sit here, but there's no comfort, right? There's like, let's actually furnish the home and make it something we can live in. So let's just kind of reset and come back for a bit. That was my point. So for a year, so don't come for a year.
So yes,
Yeah.
If it's just for a year, I will say you will not get the benefit of the different culture, the different experience. You will get some of it, but I think if you want to get maximum benefit, you need to be here for an extended period of time, meaning 2-3 years.
2 or 3 years at least.
Yeah.
I mean, if we went back at this point, I feel like our kids have the Spanish skill.
Correct.
I think they got it, right? Like
Yep.
we have to keep it a little bit reinforced, but they got it. The older one especially will have full memory of what this is and what this has been. I'm sure a third year will add. There's probably a point of like diminishing return.
Correct.
4 or 5 years is probably like, nothing changes if we go back or come. Like
Correct.
They got it.
Correct.
But 2 years feels like the right timeline. I do
Correct.
think that people can use in their mind 1 year as a check-in.
Yes.
If it's a matter of, I'm afraid to make this move and moving feels so scary.
Yeah.
It's like, well then, in your mind at least, don't maybe tell your kids.
Yeah.
Say, let's see what happens in a year. Keep your house,
Correct.
rent it out.
Yep.
Don't, just move suitcases for right now.
Yes.
Go for 1 year and then decide. You
Yes.
can go back or you can continue to go forward. Agree?
Agree. And I'll extend a little bit on why I gave you that answer. So if you are moving here to the Dominican Republic and you have children, there are a lot of things that you have to take into account and put in place for you to make sure that your family is taken care of.
Yeah.
If you're only a couple, yeah, do it for even 6 months. It doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah, agree.
But when you have the children, it's different because you have to take into account health insurance, having a vehicle, having your housing at a secure location where you can take off to the United States or anywhere that you need to go for work.
And they're good.
And they're good. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to have a concern.
Yeah.
So those things, because what I did for that 1 year, I bought a vehicle. And then just staying here 1 year, it took me a long time to get rid of that vehicle. Right? So, but if you're staying here longer than that, then yes, it's better to have a vehicle here and purchase one and have it here long term. I think to you, I said, never buy a vehicle, just get
That's the bad advice.
I know.
But it's a different time too. But go ahead. I'm listening. Yeah.
I know that because when the concept of leasing here is still not so mainstream.
It's not. In Santo Domingo you can. Santiago probably too. I don't know that there's a leasing option in Punta Cana, Puerto Plata maybe, but I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So looking back, that was the thing. I'm like, man, I should have said it differently. But I was thinking of 1 year time frame.
Yeah.
Of course. But anyway, it was bad advice regardless.
What year? What year was it that you came? Do you remember?
2015.
2015.
Yes.
Was the used car market on fire back then though?
I didn't even look, to be quite honest. So I went and bought a brand new, I think it was Hyundai Santa Fe.
No, I know, but I mean like the resale market. Because like I feel like here now, in 2024, the lesson, like honestly, the lesson I learned was like, if we bought a car when we came, even for a year, the current market is so damn hot.
Yes.
Like for
it has
resale.
always been.
So it felt like in a year we could have offloaded, but maybe not.
So what I was thinking, I believe so.
Maybe now.
Yes.
2015 is a different market.
What I was concerned about, and I didn't want to have the concern, is do I buy a used car and then breaks down or something happens and I'm not here in the country.
2012 Volkswagen, baby. It happens. Yes.
And then how am I going to solve that problem if I'm not here?
Makes sense.
So that was my thought process on saying, hey, I'm not gonna get anything used or anything like that. Now, if I was going to be here, then yes, I would have been open to buy a used vehicle, probably like a Honda, Toyota, that is easy to sell later on, right? It's easy for you to offload it.
That
I wouldn't buy anything fancy.
Right.
It was just a utility vehicle, basically.
Yeah.
Take the kids to school, to their activities. They went surfing, doing all the activities here.
Yeah.
And that was the main purpose of that.
Yep. Yeah. Go ahead, son.
So looking back, that is one thing. So the reason why I say also be here over more than a year if you have children, there are going to be some expenses that then you will have diminishing returns, like you said, over time. If you buy a vehicle, it's more justifiable, or gonna get more benefit if you stay here 3 years.
True.
If you buy a vehicle and then you have to sell it within a year, it was a little bit tougher for me to do the whole transaction.
Yeah, makes sense.
Right? The downside also was that the vehicle value diminishes as well.
Yep.
So if you add back all the expenses for being here just 1 year, you don't even want to get into that.
Yeah, I'll bet. It's true. It's true. There is like even just to move down here for us, when I added it all up, for a year of school paid, for 2 months deposit plus rent paid.
Yes.
For the 2 months Airbnb, I did a video on this. It was 50 grand. And it sounds like a big number. It is a big number, doesn't it? But it sounds like a crazy number. Like how the 50 grand? But when private school was 17 grand for a year. Like, that's a big chunk of 51 right there.
Absolutely.
12 grand for rent plus 2 months deposit. What are we at, 39? I only have 12 grand to go.
Yep.
Right? Like those two expenses alone are $39,000 out of the gate. buy a car. We leased because of somebody giving advice to lease a car. We leased, like my wife's half brother has a car lot. We had to tell him what a lease was, and he agreed to do it. But that was
you have to even explain.
Right. That was like $6,000. But like it adds up. You know, the flights, getting our house ready in the States to be an Airbnb, to kind of, you know, paint this, do that, like. 51 grand comes fast.
Yeah.
Now, we could have made payments on the school year, and that would have limited the upfront cost, but it also would have cost us more over the course of the year.
But when you average out, it's the same.
It's the same, right. So, after the year, you spent that. It's just not all upfront.
All upfront,
So to your point, like every year that we stay, we're getting a higher return on that initial 51,000.
100%.
That's what you're saying.
100%. Because to me, when I average it out, to be here for in the year 2015, my average monthly expense was $9,500.
Yeah. Right? When you put it all together.
When you put it all together.
10 grand to move to DR in 2015.
10 grand a month.
Just a sewer.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You say that to some people and say, how?
Right.
Like, what do you do? No, those are basic things.
Flights down, finding a place.
Everything. Like if you take even into account, I added it all up. If you take even into account that you bought the vehicle for X and sold it for this, so even that I put it into the spreadsheet.
Sure.
And yeah, to be here it was close to 120 grand.
Wow.
To be here 1 year.
Right.
With health insurance for the vehicle, gas, groceries.
Yep.
Going to a restaurant here and there.
Or even just setting up your home.
Everything.
You got to go buy certain things.
Everything.
Like even if you buy, like we bought a furnished home, but like, does it mean that there was every utensil that we wanted?
No.
All the glasses that we needed, an air fryer. Like you're going to be here for a year. It's like, well, it's a year. It's not long, but it's long. So it adds up.
Adds up.
I get shit a lot for expenses. Like, how do you spend that much? I'm like, because we came here for a year.
Well, yes,
right.
And I believe that there's a big misconception around how much does it cost to live here. And if you are living abroad, which I'm referring to this with a lot of Dominicans actually that live abroad and haven't been here in a long time, or they come and they visit for a week or less.
Yeah, sure.
They don't really get the sense of the living expenses here. We have a different number, or we have a different visual that is not congruent to what is going on now here in the country. And a lot of people think that you can move here and with $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, that you can have a good living.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I know that there are families and people that live with that and even less.
Yeah.
But if you have a certain quality of life that you're experiencing in the United States, even as a regular earner, if you want to emulate that same lifestyle here, it's not going to be with $2,000 a month. It's not going to be.
I agree.
And but I believe that's still a misconception that is very, very alive.
Yeah.
And many people that are even considering of
I think you get more,
here.
like, so health insurance is less than $300 a month for us. I mean, that's way better than as a solopreneur having health insurance in the States. So I mean, you get more bang for the buck there. What was the other one? Health insurance. Cleaning lady. A housekeeper, like for somebody to do all your stuff for hundreds of dollars a month. Sure, your dollar goes further on a lot of that stuff. But then there are the others. It's almost like you have to acknowledge, if you're coming from the United States, for let's say, and you've lived there most or a good chunk of your life, you have to acknowledge that that's part of your culture now. That's part of who you are. So while I might be a guy, who posts and says, hey, I order from Amazon and then I go pick it up and it costs me 150 pesos a pound.
Correct.
For the stuff, and you could get it for less or whatever. So you're like, oh my God, that's crazy. Why? It's like, make the move. And then see how inconvenient not ordering from Amazon in your life is, right? Like, we could not. However, to go to stores, like, you can't call a store and ask if they have something. They don't answer.
Correct.
Like, you can't look on Google and see the hours of operation because it's wrong.
That's right.
Like, they closed an hour ago because they felt like it. So it's when you have that, and then you have the other option of, well, let me just order. It'll get here in 3, 4, 5 days, and I pay the equivalent of $2.50 for each pound, and it's 5 pounds. So, okay, I spent $12.50 to get it, but holy crap, I saved a lot of brain damage.
That's right.
It adds up.
It does. And another thing here is the energy.
Yeah.
For example, even though we have experienced a tremendous amount of growth when it comes to energy in the whole country, it's one of the most expensive utilities that you will have.
Even here in Santo Domingo, still expensive?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I remember at the house we had a pool.
Yeah.
And the electric bill every month was like $800 or $900.
Jesus, here
In Sosua.
Sosua.
Yeah, and that was 2015.
Jesus. Holy crap! Yeah, ours is like $500-600 a month.
Yeah.
You know?
So it adds up.
Yeah.
So, and again, when it comes to energy, it has experienced a tremendous amount of growth.
Sure.
But it's at a cost.
Yeah.
It is not what people think. So even if you live in an apartment and you have one of those wall units,
Yeah.
and that is very energy efficient,
Yeah.
it is going to cost you a few $100s a month
Yeah.
to run that. Might not be 500, might not be 900, right?
Yeah.
But in the United States, at my house, I have the AC going 24/7,
Yeah.
and I pay $100 a month.
Right. Yeah. It's subsidized. It's right. It's
Yeah.
efficient. What else? I'm curious. Like in the time. So you obviously grew up here, moved away, came back for a year, and you come back and forth. We'll talk about that, about like the business side for you and the investments that you're doing and everything else down here in a little bit. But what are some of the things with the growth that you've seen that are the most encouraging or the most incredible to you? Like if you think back, like I can't believe we have this here now. What is that?
Several different things. So yeah, the country, one of the things that from a numbers perspective, I like numbers being entrepreneur and business owner, right?
I like these potatoes.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
But the GDP growth here, it has been unlike any other in the Caribbean or even Latin American countries. Like I believe it's something like 5 or 6% a year
5% a year, yeah.
for like many years, not only like one off, right? So that has brought in a lot of foreign investments, like I believe in the financing field. You see a ton of banks here at every corner that we didn't see that before.
Interesting.
Tourism, you know what's going on with tourism.
Yep.
And but a couple of the biggest things. The main one is transportation, meaning the road system, the highway system. It used to take me, when I lived here, from Santo Domingo to go to Punta Cana, 7 hours. That was just the time frame you needed to plan for it.
I remember that before the highway system, because I've been coming here since '08, but we'd have to go through Otrobanda, Ique, La Romana, all the way into.
That's right.
It took forever.
It wasn't straight shot,
No,
and it wasn't like a highway system.
Yeah.
Now you can do that commute in half the time.
Yeah.
And it's not only from here to Punta Cana. It's the same thing going to Terrenas.
Yeah.
It used to be double the time to go to Terrenas and go a completely different route.
Puerto Plata, you said too.
And to get to Puerto Plata, half the time. So that is something very nice, because you can explore many areas of the country within a day, basically. So that's one thing. And man, when I moved from the country actually to the city when I was 14 years old, for me it was love at first sight. I fell in love with Santo Domingo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I have always
Country boy, always been a city boy though?
Man, I like the best of both places. Okay?
Yeah.
I like the best of both places, but the city, it was love at first sight. Yes, I had so many great memories here. This city is amazing. There's something magical about this city.
What part did you grow up in here? Or what part did you come here?
Here it was in an area that is called Las Caobas. It's on the west side of the city of Santo Domingo.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow. It's a beautiful city. It's we were talking about like restaurants you can go to and everything, and you can find your bad neighborhoods, don't get me wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
But overall, like the city is much more, what's the word? Cosmopolitan
Yes.
than I think I ever knew. I mean, I didn't spend much time here. I would be Igue and Punta Cana. So my perspective on DR was like, Igue is DR, and Punta Cana is this like very unique, and it is, very unique sort of part of the country. But I thought every city was Igue until I went to Santo Domingo, until I went to Santiago, until I went to even Puerto Plata. But Santo Domingo has a cosmopolitan feel to me, you know, in the city part, not in the barrios, but yeah.
Correct, in the city, and that's one thing is, it has always been very alive during the day. It becomes even more alive at night.
Yeah.
And it's a different atmosphere, which I have always loved since I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And some of the magical parts about it is the social life that you experience here.
Yeah.
New restaurants, new venues, new places to go visit, concerts. There's a lot of culture. The city has a lot to offer. And inevitably, you meet new people all the time. You can end up doing business. You and I have spoken about this.
We're gonna dive deep on that, because I think that is like an epiphany lately. And you shared like, yes, that's absolutely right. So we'll go into that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes. So there's that magic to it that I'm very comfortable with being uncomfortable, as we have spoken, and I believe there's always growth on the other side of that.
Yeah.
And it can be just personal growth. Sometimes it can be financial growth.
Yeah. The Piantini, we stayed there at an Airbnb recently. You talk about like the nightlife. like 2 in the morning, all of a sudden, there's a microphone somewhere in the middle of the city with just someone belting. Beautiful. Great singing voice. Wrong time.
Wrong time.
2 in the morning, just you can hear people shouting like, what the hell? It was like under us. I don't even know where it was. And it was in Piantini. It wasn't like somewhere, it was like a nice part of the city. Right, yeah, it was insane. Like 8th floor, 12th floor we're on. And it was like the woman was in my head. Again, great voice. Wrong time.
That's right.
Oh, look at this.
Ya lo grabó.
All right. We're diving in then, my friend.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Let's, we need to,
Yes.
hey, I love you, but we're still dudes. I'm not dipping into the same thing with you. We're just cutting that in half. We're going to put this on my plate. Put that on your plate. That's all you. We'll split the ice cream. We're not going to switch arms.
Oh,
and do this
man. Go like this and drink.
Right. So I'm going to take this half and put it on my plate, and we're going to dive in.
All right, let's do it.
Santiago de Coco?
Tartaletta de Coco.
Tartaletta. That's how
Yes.
it's in that. That's dulce de leche? Oh my God. Where's the, we need to find the camera. Do you see that? Look at that.
It's
That's
amazing.
One thing here, dulce de leche, man. Like, it's like, that's all there is.
Yes, and everything with coconut.
Everything with coconut too, yeah. But it's good.
Indeed. It's warm too.
I taste the dulce, I taste the cocoa. I gotta try it without the ice cream though. Let's see what that does. Wow.
Yeah, it's great.
I just hope the guys know how to spell all of that on the video so they can put it up there because I have no idea. I got cocoa.
I'll text it to you guys.
2 letters. C-O-C-O. I got that one.
There you go.
And that's good. All right. Juan, you live in Atlanta. You got your 3 businesses, almost 4. Well, not almost. You have 4 businesses. And you told me before, I didn't know this. Like, I knew you came here. I mean, we talk. I've seen you before here. But you come every month.
Yes.
Why? That's a lot, man. That's a lot of travel. Why do you come once a month, every month? You come for a week every month.
A week every month.
Yeah.
Well, my woman is here. And we are also starting one of the businesses that is going to operate with some of the employees based here.
Here. Oh, very cool.
Yes, and so yeah, I come once a month. She goes there in the summertime, spends the summer with me.
Smart lady. Summer here is ridiculous.
Yes, and then we also spend the majority of December together. And she's helping me with structuring everything here with the business that we're starting now.
Yeah. We were talking about this before. The epiphany lately for me has been that business or being in business here is like people ask, they'll say, like, oh, what's the business opportunity down there that you see? And I always struggle with that answer. And the answer is like, you don't know until you're here. So I think like, if you're looking for like the right real estate spots or whatever, like if you know somebody here that can help you with that, sure. Like, hey, you know what? Look here, look there, and then come down and take a look, right? But like you can at least get narrowed down to these areas, these neighborhoods, these projects, these developers, whatever. You can get that narrowed down by somebody local like me or you or whomever's here. But when it comes to like, I want to start a business, the opportunity can't be known until you're here.
Unfortunately. Unfortunately.
So talk about that. What is that? Is that part of why you're coming every month? Like, what's the networking? Why do you feel that? Talk about it.
Yes, yes.
I'm stumbling on the question, but I think you get it.
Yeah, no worries.
And I want to eat more ice cream.
Yes, please go ahead. So for me, I want to say that it's a multifaceted approach. There are different things that are going on now, and it is. I spend. It's really good.
That's good. Yeah, go ahead.
So I spend about a week here on a monthly basis, and it's not only, of course, spending time with my woman and with family here, but also structuring the new business. There are things that you can only figure it out if you're here. There are hurdles that you will find that you will not be able to overcome it or to even uncover them if you're not here.
Yeah.
In the other spectrum also, there are opportunities that it's very, very hard to spot them if you're not here. The same holds true, I believe, in the United States. You have to be in the middle.
Sure.
You have to be in action. But here is even more so.
I agree.
And I'll give you an example. We have bought several pieces of properties here in the last few years. And most of the properties that we have bought, just apartments that are, let's say, You buy them when they are just on the plains, basically. It's not all developed yet.
Yep.
And those properties have doubled the price that we paid for them in a short period of time.
Yeah.
But those opportunities, they're harder to find if you're not here.
Yeah.
Now there's construction going on here every single day.
Sure.
But not all of them are serious, legit, or you might encounter some challenges.
Yeah.
And people saying, hey, this is the deadline for the project to be done, and then it's double the time, or increase the price of them.
Yeah.
So there are some challenges that you also can avoid them if you're here.
That's so good. That's
So
good.
is I think the key factor is being here. So that's why I spend more time here now. In the U.S., I have my boys with me 50% of the time, so they spend 2 weeks out of the month with me. So it's always 3 dudes at the house for half the month.
You got a frat house. Ay, Dios mío, gracias.
Yes, gracias. And then I stay there another week, working on my businesses there. So basically 3 weeks with the businesses there, 2 weeks with my sons, and then 1 week here. And it's always spotting those opportunities, looking at those things. Once my boys grow older, one of the changes or the switches that you will probably see there with my schedule is that I will probably be here more often.
2 to 3 weeks.
Probably the 3 weeks will flip. Probably 3 weeks here,
Yeah.
1 week there, and so on. Yes.
There's so many questions on this because I want to
Yes.
get into like you vetting developers and trying to figure that out. But on the business opportunity side, maybe it's a furthering of the point. Like I talked to somebody recently. What did she say? She said you have to tell everybody what you're looking for here, and so you got to be here.
Yes.
And you have to tell everybody what you're looking for, and by doing that, you're going to recognize the good deal. And she's right. Like I've noticed that in the time since that advice. Like you tell everybody the piece of real estate you're looking for, the land, the property, whatever, and you get a lot of feedback. Oh, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this, whatever. Let's say the number is 250,000. Let's just go with that as a number. I don't even know what for. 250, 250, 275, 225, 250, 200. Oh, 200. But then you get that 150 that comes in.
Yes.
And because you told everybody what you're looking for, that when you hear all that feedback and that number comes back, you're like, whoa, I know now that's a deal, and I can pursue that deal. So it kind of got to be in person to win, sort of thing. And you're right. We belong to networks, right? Where we intentionally put ourselves in rooms with people because we know the value of networking in any place in the world, United States or otherwise. But here, man, it's on. Did I tell you the story about? I think I did. The restaurant for this show. To meet a restaurant group. I talked to this restaurant group through WhatsApp. I only know them because I got connected to them because it's who you know. And for me to do some shows up and coming in 2 of their restaurants, they said, hey, can you come by the restaurant? Which is about a 15, 20-minute drive to get to their restaurant at 12:30. I'm like, sure, I'll come to the restaurant. Got to the restaurant at 12:30. The guy agrees, like, yeah, just need a minute. Minute was 20. It's Dominican minutes. Right?
Yep.
So not 1 minute, but 20. And then when I finally went back and met him and the other guy, it was about a 3-minute total conversation, truly. But they had to feel me.
Yes.
They had to see me. They had to know me before they could say yes or no to this thing.
That's right.
And when the marketing guy didn't realize I lived here, he thought I was some guy coming in from the States with a YouTube channel. He goes, oh, you're local. I said, yeah, I live right in the village. Oh. It was like a completely different thing. 3 minutes.
Yep.
But they needed that in person.
That's right.
So that's a unique thing here for me that I'm learning. It's a kind of, I said this before, but it's kind of counterintuitive. It's like you want the business here, you got to be here to find the business. It's not like you find the business and build it here and then move here. Yeah. With exceptions, some people can. Absolutely. But generally speaking, the best business is done once you're known and on the ground here.
That's right. And you have to pursue those meetings.
Yeah.
It could have been done with a phone call.
Yeah.
But it takes for you to put yourself in a little bit of an uncomfortable situation.
That's true.
In order for you to do business or even analyze a business. And here a lot of Dominicans, a lot of the culture is part of the vetting process and sizing you up and getting to know you because it's that human warmth basically that is part of that process.
100%.
And inevitably putting yourself out there. Going to social events, talking to people. As you mentioned before, one of the reasons why I joined the associations that I do and like even how we met is putting myself in situations that I'm a little bit uncomfortable. Because for when I'm in those environments, it's inevitable also that I feel a little bit like that imposter syndrome.
100%.
That I don't belong there.
Yeah.
But if I show up, I believe that I belong there. I just have to figure it out.
You're in the room. You're in the room. You know you're supposed to be there, but like now, how do I navigate?
Exactly.
This room? Yeah, 100%.
And one thing that I have adopted for a long time ago, it is I'm not there to take. I'm not there to get.
Yeah.
So I am there to give. And eventually something will happen for me as well.
100%.
It's the same. It's how we met.
Yeah.
As soon as you posted a question and you said, "Hey, can anybody help me with this?" I'm like, "There, I can help."
We were on a call within minutes.
Within minutes.
I remember where I was standing in my kitchen in Michigan. I had the phone on speaker on the counter. We had like a little peninsula. My wife was right there, so the three of us chatted.
That's
We
right.
had never talked before.
Never
knew each other.
We were on the phone for like an hour.
Talking about all this, and then you gave me the bad advice and all
I
that
know.
stuff. So, I'm just kidding. Talk about your criteria for investing. So you mentioned like you're here, you see the deals. Some of these properties have doubled. What have you learned? What are some things to look at? You're buying pre-construction property.
Correct.
In Santo Domingo?
Yes.
What is your criteria? What do you look for in the developer? Or talk about that if you don't mind.
So I don't mind buying elsewhere within the country, but it has to be a referral.
Sure.
It has to be a referral. So the track record needs to be there, someone that is established, and our price point needs to be there. So anything under $300,000, then I like to analyze. And depending who the builder is, again, I go back to that because it's just extremely important. And then I look at, okay, what is my end goal with this particular investment? It's like start with the end in mind. So always doing that approach, and what are the potential exits that I can have with this particular property or any particular investment. I'm always looking at not only one exit, but how can I unload this if I need to do that at any given point.
What are some of the exits? What are some of the things you think about with a pre-construction property?
I can sell once it's done, which I have done a couple of those. But
Flipped them.
Yes.
So you buy them at 100 grand, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
By the time they're developed, they're worth 175, and you sell it. Do you sell it for 175, or are you selling for like 160, 165?
The max that I can.
Max you can get. Got
Max
it.
I can get, and then just reinvest those. I don't touch those funds. Just reinvest those. Then there's a couple that we just have rented.
Rented
and
long or short term?
Long term.
Long term.
Long term.
Yeah.
So we went and refinanced and got a loan with the bank here locally, and we run those numbers to make sure that the rent covers that monthly expense.
Got it.
And my basic strategy there is just to accumulate as many of those as possible, and then just unload them. Once it's time for me to be here a little bit longer, just buy a bigger place.
Are you focused on equity only, or are you focused on cash flow?
Equity.
Equity.
Yeah.
So as long as you break even, you're good.
Yeah. Cash flow here is basically non-existent.
Got it.
Yeah. Unless you do Airbnb.
Sure.
It's
but
different.
there's work with that.
There's work with that. It's like running a business.
Yeah.
So I analyzed both of them. So I decided, hey, Airbnb. We know a ton of men that are making a lot of money with those. But I decided not to be active with those investments. Same thing in the United States. Like I have several properties I transitioned. I think I mentioned this to you a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Transition to buy more commercial.
Yep.
On the commercial side, there's more upside.
Yep.
And in the United States,
Same, I agree.
because I have bought a few buildings, and those buildings I know exactly now the formula, which I didn't know this before.
Yeah.
I know exactly now the formula that I can use to increase the value of the property and increase the NOI, and it's fun for me to do those. So
$1 of NOI could be $1,000+ in value.
it's insane.
$1.
It's insane.
You raise rents by $5 a unit on 10 units. That's $50 a month, $600 a year. That could be 60 grand or more in value on that building.
It's insane.
$5 a month.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love the commercial real estate game is one that I've been in love with now for the past 3 to 4 years.
All I do. I got out of retail real estate and into commercial real estate in the States for that exact reason. There's a formula to it. And to be honest with you, for me, like I had my own stuff I sold, and then I went in as a GP and LP with Quantum, you know. And so cash flow is, it's okay in the beginning. You get like acquisition fees, but they go right back in.
Yep.
But for me, it's more the trade up. So at the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 year mark, you double down, you double up, you take your cash out, you double down on the next investment, and you get that snowball going. So like you, I'm more about equity with my investments in the States than I am about cash flow. And the same here as I start to kind of dive into the market here. I was going to ask you something you said about exits, cash flow, selling. You're in the appreciation mode. That's what you're looking for when you buy here. Long-term rental is the game. Something else I was going to say.
Yes. And on the exit, I look at, okay, does this particular asset appeals to locals and also to foreigners?
Yeah.
And it can be not necessarily foreigners from other cultures, but
Gracias.
thank you, gracias. But Dominicans that are living abroad.
Yeah.
Gracias.
Well done.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
And so I'm looking for those things, and then how can I market it if or when the time comes, so that I can have that exit. So I'm looking for several ways out.
What if there's a downturn?
And then I just wait for it.
So you're buying in a way that if you can't unload, you're under no pressure financially for you. Like you're positioning it in a way that you're not going to be under pressure to have to get rid of the property.
Correct.
Interesting.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because when I go and refinance it with the bank, I make sure that it's.
That's what I was going to ask about.
Yes, because that is less. That is at the amount that is covered by the standard local rent in that particular area.
Yep.
So that's kind of has been the strategy there when it comes to real estate.
When it goes to lending, this is a big topic. What rates are you seeing right now as we sit in mid 2024? What rates are you seeing? We're assuming USD. You're doing all US dollar loans. So
I have two loans that are in Dominican.
Why Dominican
currency.
pesos versus USD on those? Do you know?
There were two properties that it was. I can't remember, but I think it was required that it was in Dominican on the local currency.
Got it.
And there have been a few that are. I have a couple, like three more that are in dollars.
All right. So what rates are you seeing in both dollars and
Yep.
pesos? And talk about the ability to finance with a bank right now. Like some people say, I've heard people say, it's impossible, can't do it. And then there's others like you that are doing it. So talk about rates and then how do you get financing?
Yes, so it is doable. First and foremost, yeah, because like you said, because I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But there are other people here that are doing it.
Yeah.
And we have some contacts that I met through my woman here, Dick Marie, and. For the loans that are in Dominican currency, we are paying 11%.
Okay. Yep.
And for the loans that are in US dollars, we're paying 8%.
Now, could you get an 8% loan now?
I'm not sure if you can get them, but we have a couple like that at 8.
Got it.
Now, for me, it has been, like I take advantage of whenever possible to get lower rates.
Yeah, sure.
I have a few mortgages in the United States that are at 3.25%.
My house. That's the only reason not to sell it. Amazing debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two of my buildings, I have a 5%.
2.9 on one. We still have a 2.9% on one. Yeah.
But my very first house that I bought in Michigan, and this was at the beginning when I moved to Michigan, I think I was 22, 23 years old. The interest rate on that house was 9%.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but a lot of people don't remember.
Mine was almost 7. And when
Yeah.
I said almost 7 at work, people ran to the bank to refi. Like, well, you're at 6.75?
Yeah.
Well, I got to go get 6.75 because they were at
Exactly.
8, 8.25 or
Exactly.
whatever, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I have bought at all different interest rates.
Yeah.
But yes, it is doable. So one of the things I believe that for the qualification here, you can still use your income from abroad.
Yep.
And you can show that your income now is proof of income, and they will qualify you here. So you just have to have the right context.
Well, that was the question. How much is the value of the so let's say I don't know, Cesar is the bank loan officer at Bank A, and you go in and walk into Cesar with everything, you just as you are, and you want to get a loan with Cesar, or you talk to Jose, your best friend, who's best friends with Cesar as well, and he refers you to Cesar. You're the same guy. Is there any difference in the ability for you to get that loan between you walking into Cesar as you are, or you walking in with a connection from his best friend?
100%, and
Really?
that is the beauty of being here.
Okay. Yeah.
So and I'm not going to say that in the exact scenario that you portrayed, that this person, if he goes direct, is not going to get the loan.
No,
they are
right.
going to get the loan.
No, but this is a different experience.
But it's a different experience, 100%. And I'll give you an example. One of the last properties that I bought here, I didn't even have to be here to buy it.
No shit.
Yes. So all the paperwork, they sent it FedEx. I signed it in Atlanta.
Send it back.
Send it back.
You're not getting that if you go right to Cesar.
You're not getting that.
Jose got you.
You're not getting
Right.
exactly.
Wow.
So and there was one more signature that needed to happen because it needed to be notarized. And they just say, okay, for that part, we wait for whenever you're in the country. When I came back the next trip, stopped by, did it, all done.
Done. Wow. Terms are like, so I've seen terms 30% down, 25% amortization, or 25-year-ish, 20-year amortization. And then to get 8%, my assumption is that's 1 year fixed.
So I have that one at 8% fixed for the entire time, but it's a 10-year loan.
Wow. Really?
120 months.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So you get a 10-year loan fixed the entire time at 8%.
Yep. And I have another one that is at 11%. That one's 25 years.
Fixed.
Fixed.
For the entire time. In pesos.
Yep.
Now, will you refi if rates drop? Like, is it that easy to refi?
Yeah.
I mean, not that easy, but you know what I mean. Like, is it? It's possible to go through the process and refi if rates go to 7 on pesos.
Correct.
Interesting.
Yeah. You can do it.
Yeah. Is there any secret, any sort of tip, piece of advice? Because this is a contentious thing. Like I had one realtor tell me loans don't exist. We don't even work with people who want them. Cash only. And another realtor told me that's the laziest thing I've ever heard of that realtor. That realtor they don't want to do the work. But absolutely, as long as you have the relationships and the connections, you can get financing.
100%.
Cool. For you as an investor, for somebody watching that's saying, well, I want to buy there, and I hear horror stories about getting loans. Like, yeah, I gave you the 8 documents you asked for, and now you've got the secret 9th one you're pulling out of the drawer or whatever. Is there a tip, other than obviously being connected to the bank loan officer? Is there a tip, a tactic, an idea of anything you can provide? 1, 2, 3 things, whatever it is, that you think would help somebody get the loan?
Yeah, just do the steps, follow the steps. But we have pointed that out several times during this interview, and it's relationship based.
Yeah.
So when you're here, you have to build on those relationships, and they have to get to know your character, and it makes it easier. But just go through the process. The cultures are different. In the United States, when you go and get a loan, close on a loan, you get everything done, you go home, everything's fine. Here, it is not that it's expected, but the culture here, even before you were coming here today for this interview, you said, I have to go somewhere and give a gift to someone as an appreciation. Part of the culture here is that.
Yeah.
So here, every single year, to those loan officers that I know, I send them a bottle of champagne. Mm-hmm. I send them, my woman puts together this basket of gifts and send it to them for Christmas. So it's just building on those relationships, right?
I guess you look at it the opposite. I remember when I closed on any property, the loan officer and the realtor sent me the bottle of champagne.
Correct.
They sent me for the business.
Correct.
Right, but it's the other way around here.
Absolutely.
So it's just knowing and navigating that.
Absolutely.
That's interesting, man. To me, that is advice and guidance that I think so many people need to hear. Because I think the perception is it's hard. And it's just different.
Yeah, there's no secret sauce.
Right.
It's just doing the things that are hard.
Building relationships.
Yes.
You said about adding value.
Yes.
Right? Going in with what did you say? Going in with the idea of giving.
Of giving, not getting.
Right? Like, I want this loan from you works in the United States because there's standards, there's the Fannie Freddie backing, there's it's like, well, pretty simple. If you meet these, cool. If you don't, I don't care how much I like you, I can't do anything for you.
Yep.
Here, relationship rules.
Absolutely.
I'll find a way to help you if I perceive you to be of good. It's 1950s US, man.
It's exactly. It's the same principle.
Yes.
And guess what? Everyone needs something.
Yeah.
We're all human.
Yep.
There's always that I'm looking for. There's always something that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
There's always something that you're looking for. The tough part is for me to figure it out and help give you that.
Yeah.
So those are the things. They're human. It's not just a loan officer. They're human. They have children. They might need a favor. So I'm always looking for ways on how to give. How to give without getting. And at some point, if I need a favor, because it's a need, it's something that I want to get, I'll tap their shoulders. Hey, don't go out of your way. I don't want anything, but can you help me with this? And the answer typically is, yes, I will even go out of my way. No, don't go out of your way.
Right.
But yes, I will even go out of my way to help.
Wow, man. Absolute gold. Absolute gold. Tell us where people can follow you, websites, anything you want to drop so that we and I hope you all do. I mean, you gotta, I think you're my first, this is weird. 4 interviews in. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're my first Dominican. Are you? Let's see, right? Is he my first Dominican? I think he is. Pablo, Becky was American. Married to a Dominican. Pablo is Puerto Rican, married to a Dominican. Eduardo is Mexican, married to, she's like Ukrainian or something. Sorry, Giordana, I don't remember. And now you're my first 4 episodes on on a show where I'm in the Dominican. You're my first Dominican. I'm surprised nobody's made that comment before. Like, hey, dude, you ever going to interview a Dominican?
Exactly.
So, but yeah, where should people follow you and learn more about you? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And another thing is talking about being in the middle. Now that you mentioned someone from Ukraine, I went to visit Punta Cana, and we were there spending some time. And this man approached me, and we started talking. And he's from the Ukraine.
Yeah.
He was living here for, I don't know, for like 4 or 5 years, waiting for the craziness to settle.
Yeah.
And we became good friends and stay in touch. And so you meet people here from all over the place. There's an amazing expat community that is just ever growing.
Yeah.
But yes, people can find me. All my social tags are Juan Reyes Pro.
Bro, see.
Juan Reyes Pro. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, all of those social sites.
Yeah.
And the website is universidaddedinero.com.
I love it. I love it. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for doing this.
All right.
This is fun. This is so much fun. I can't drink that. I'm gonna be trash. I gotta drive home. How many years am I supposed to drink?
Take it in to go.
Do you want it?